कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकि कोकिलम्। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताया पतये नमः। जयत्याश्रितसन्त्रास ध्वान्तविध्वंसनोदयः प्रभावान् सीतया देव्या परमव्योमभास्करः परमव्योमभास्करः।
श्रीमते निगमान्त महादेशिकाय नमः। After having granted moksham to Jatayu, after having given mukti to Ayomukhi from her very aghora form, and after having been witness to the mukti of Kabandha from his material body, Rama and Lakshmana continue their journey in the southern direction. That is when, even before entering Kishkinta and striking a cord of friendship with Sugriva, they meet up with one of the most devout patrams, characters in the Srimad Ramayana, which is that of a lady called Sabari. Interestingly, Sabari is not her name. Sabari means a lady who dwells in the forest. A forest dweller, a lady who lives as a hermit, is called Sabari. What is her name? Ramayana doesn't mention of her name. We know her only as Sabari. Interestingly, the 13th century polymath Vedanta Deshika, in one of his celebrated poems called Daya Shatakam, invokes her name. निषादानां नेता कपिकुलपतिः कापि शबरी कुचेलः कुब्जासा कापि शबरी शबरी कापि शबरी, that Sabari, which means literally she didn't even have an address of her own. She didn't have a name of her own. Even if she had, we don't know of her name. Where she lived, which was her address, we don't know. But Sabari is the name that is associated with this lady. Here goes the shlokam. Tesham gatanam adyapi drishyate paricharini shramani Sabari nama kakutstha chirajivini. So she was a Shramani, says Valmiki. What does Shramani mean? Sabari, we mentioned, we know the name. She is also qualified by the name Shramani. What does the famed commentator Govindaraja say about this in his commentary? He says, Tesham matanga shishyanam paricharina Shramani sanyasini Sabari iti nama Sabari iti prasiddha. Sanyasini. So, the last ashramam of the 4 ashramas, Brahmacharyam, Grihasthashramam, Vanaprastham and Sannyasam. Sannyasam is the last of the ashramas, which means after having coming to the 4th ashrama, Sannyasa ashrama, one cannot say, I am bored of being a sannyasi, I will become a grihastha. It is a one-way path from brahmachari to grihastha to a vanaprastha to a sannyasi. Interestingly, in Sanatana Dharma, sannyasi is always associated with one gender, which is the male gender. Purusha is the one who is generally entitled to become a sannyasi. Now comes a question. Sir, isn't this gross injustice? Why shouldn't a woman become a sannyasi? One reason given by Manu in his Dharma Shastra and many other commentators is a woman happens to be very sacrificing by her nature. Her very nature is to sacrifice. We have seen that in our houses. When the father, the mother, the child sit and the child is enjoying the food and there is only this much of sabji or bhaji, the mother will say, "Don't worry, I think you like it very much, I will give my share." Even before the father could think that there is such an option, the mother advances. She volunteers to sacrifice. This ability, this characteristic feature in the woman makes them an inborn sannyasi. So, Manu Dharma Shastram or later other rishis say that a woman doesn't have to specially undergo this ashramam because by very nature they are sacrificing. Well, though Dharmam at large does not encourage women to become sannyasinis, there were a handful of hand-picked women in those days who lived the life of a sannyasi. So they were sannyasinis. Such hand-picked women who lived like a sannyasini, very few in number. One such is Sabari. Such sannyasinis are referred to as Shramani. Interestingly, the movement itself later in history was called Shramana movement. So the Ajivikas, to some extent the Jainas also came under the Shramana category. So Jainas were called Shramana, later Samana in the Tamil language. Here Shramani means sannyasini. So the commentator says, Shramani sannyasini Sabari iti nama Sabari iti prasiddha. Maheshwara Tirtha, another commentator, concurs with this. Tesha muninam paricharini Shramani tapasi Sabari namadhyapi drishyata ityanvayaha. Drishyate papacharini iti pathe, apapacharini iti chedaha. So she lived in an ashramam. The ashramam belonged to a rishi called Matanga. So it was called Matanga ashramam. This Matanga ashramam, which was surrounded by thick forests and wild animals, especially elephants, those elephants which managed to destroy anything and everything that they saw will never come near the hermitage. That was the tapo shakti of Matanga. So much so that the animals will also feel that this place should remain sacrosanct. We should not destroy it. Na tatra kramitum nagaha shaknuvanti tadashrame rishestasya matangasya vidhanat tachchakananam. This old lady called Sabari, as she was serving Matanga Rishi, now in the hermitage, slowly saw with her eyes bright rays of sun touching upon two resplendent, radiant people walking towards the hermitage. She sensed who those two could be. She went forward and offered her obeisances, namaskarams to them. Tau drishtva tu tada siddha samuthaya kritanjalihi padau jagraha ramasya lakshmanasya cha dhimataha padyamachamaniyam cha sarvam pradatyatha vidhi tamuvacha tato ramaha shramanim dharma samsthitam. As Rama obtained her obeisances, he and Lakshmana offered their namaskarams in return. This is the trait in Sanatana Dharma. Immaterial of age. Whoever says namaskaram, you say namaskaram back. Immaterial of whoever pays their obeisances, you say your obeisances back. You respect the person standing opposite you. As Rama met Sabari for the first time, he wanted to ask her of her whereabouts. He asks, Kachitte nirjita vighnaha, kachitte vardhate tapaha, kachitte niyata kopa, aharascha tapodhane, kachitte niramaha praptaha, kachitte manasa sukham, kachitte guru shushusha, saphala charu bhashini. How is your process of seeking enlightenment? How is your process of performing your penance? How is your process of seeking inner peace? How is your process of performing shushusha, kainkaryam, service to your guru? O lady of such soft words, can you say? Sabari says, Adya me prapta tapasiddha tava sandarshananmaya. Whatever penance I have performed in the past, all that has fructified today. It has fructified now. It has fructified in front of you. It has fructified because of you. Adya me saphalam janma guravascha supujitaha. Adya me saphalam taptam swargaschaiva bhavishyati. Tvaideva vare rama pujite purusharshabha. By your side, everything is fructified, Rama. I was just waiting for this moment. Immediately, Rama asked, You were waiting for me? So, did you know that I am going to come? How come? That is when she says, I was fervently serving my Acharya Matanga. While he left his material body to go to the abode of Vaikuntham, I said, What is there in for me on this earth when my Acharya is not there? Acharya rihadaivatam samadhikam dhanyanna manyamahe. What will I do without my Acharya? I will also follow you, my Guru, I said. That time, Matanga Rishi, my Acharya, said, Sabari, no, don't come. First, be hospitable to one of the greatest avatarams of Paramatma that you are going to see. I asked who? He said, Dasharatha's son Rama will be walking by our hermitage. Show your Atitheya Satkaram to him. After having showered your love on him, obtained his grace, you can come to the same lokam where I am, he said. Rama, true to the words of my Acharya, I was waiting for that moment when I will see you, be hospitable to you, and then leave this mundane world to go to my Acharya, he said. This is how I came to know about your whereabouts. Rama acknowledged that. Sir, you are talking about Sabari's episode. You are talking about Sabari's bhakti to Rama. Very interesting, sir. But you have forgotten one thing, sir. She gave fruits. She bit and gave. Rama consumed for her bhakti. You didn't mention of that episode, sir. I will mention of that episode, but not the way you want me to say. I would want to keep the narration the way Valmiki has said it in the next episode.
Dear Astika reader, I am happy to be authoring a two-part book on the Ramayana in English. The first part is slated for release in the year 2024. The book aims to recreate and retell the Ramayana of Valmiki, conforming to the ancient commentaries and other allied literature. To receive notifications of the book release, kindly register with www.deshikadaya.org/books. Namaskaram.